Okay. Hello and welcome to the Business Octopus live stream. We are live. Hello, Amanda. How you going?
I'm really well. And how are you?
Fantastic. So today we're going to be talking about how to make multi-million-dollar company, or how to make a multi-million-dollar company, because a lot of times people think that they've got to strike it lucky, get black at the casino, or red, or get the 000 at the top, whatever, and make all their money. But it really does take a structured process to get from where you are to where you want to end up. And I think if you're watching this is for you if you're starting out, or if you're already in a successful business and you want it to be more successful. So the 6-figure, 7-figure equation, there's a few inflection points along the way. Today we would just want to talk about some of those points. So I guess before we kick right into it, did you have any thoughts, Amanda, about that?
Look, as someone who's been on, the business owner's journey, a lot of what we're going to talk about today, I wish I had from day one. So if you are just starting out, like Avon said, or if you're in that spot, maybe you're stuck, maybe you need to get to that next level and you just don't know what that next step is, what the lever is that you need to pull, I guarantee you there's some gold here today. So let's get stuck into it.
All right. Well, first of all, everything is a test. We sort of alluded to it early on, is that, you don't know what the market wants, and your proposition and what you do, even though you might copy someone exactly, you're going to deliver it differently. You're a different person. You have different audiences. You have a different vernacular. You attract a different type of person. And when you deliver that as a product or service, then your delivery is going to be different. Your the way it is perceived, the quality with which it comes is different. So everything has to be tested, from the product fit, market fit, to the service delivery side, to the emails you send, the brand colors. I know the website we started with is certainly not the website we have today.
Exactly.
What's been your experience with testing?
Oh, look, and again, it's something that I just was not familiar with or not taught to test. So, I was one of those people when I first started out, I took every business coach's or every marketer's words as gospel, and I just bought into how they were telling me to do things. And the big thing that was missing was the testing part. It's like, no, if you follow this system or this process, it will work because we've tested it and we know it will work. But as Avon was just saying, team, you've got to get in and you've got to test it based on how you show up, how you do things, and what your business is all about. So I wish I'd known that from the beginning. It's something I've probably started doing in the last 2 years, and that has actually been a game changer for me. Actually being comfortable with testing and knowing that, hey, it may not be the gold, it may not be the win, but testing gives us information so we know which direction to head in next.
Yeah, and what worked for someone else doesn't mean it's going to work for you. Maybe they had a lucky break. There's plenty of millionaires and billionaires out there that have gone, it was really hard coming up through the ranks, and my multi-million-dollar father-in-law or something gave me $1 million loan. Like, there's a lucky break that not everyone's going to get. So you can't really pin your success or failure on someone else's. It's just not fair to yourself.
Exactly. And I think the other thing to be aware of, like you mentioned that, that $1 million loan that someone got, often they're not talking about that when they're talking about how they became successful. So remember, every success story might have some pieces left out.
Did you see the meme going around with, I think it's Victoria Beckham, and she's in an interview and she's like, we had it really tough growing up. And then what's his name? The soccer player sticks his head in and goes, be honest. And she's like, he's like, what car did you drive? And he's like, a Rolls Royce. So kind of not the tales to say that she had it tough growing up, and really, she just made a lucky break, got on a singing group, and then got marketed out to the world. Then hence the Spice Girls. So sometimes you do get a lucky break. That doesn't happen for everybody. Yeah, called out by your husband, no.
Exactly. Nice one, David. Love it.
David, that's his name. Yeah, so good I can't remember. So all I know is apparently there's a movie about him bending it, anyway, so to not everything goes to plan, and sometimes from a failure perspective is that I don't think if you haven't failed, you really haven't earned your stripes as an entrepreneur. If you haven't stuffed something up, if you haven't like made somebody cry, lost hundreds of thousands, if not millions of dollars, if you haven't, was it saying if you want to make it on, you got to break a few eggs. As
100%.
much as that sucks, you really need to be comfortable with failure. I think Elon, there was an interview with Elon Musk's wife, or ex-wife, and she said that you have to be comfortable with a level of failure and disappointment and stress that would break most people. And as soon as
good
that
advice. That's such good advice. Yeah.
Well, yeah, sad but true. I mean, it would be nice if we could all have, rainbows, lollipops, and successful businesses, but it just doesn't work that way.
It would be amazing. It would be amazing. Like, I know myself as a person, I am extremely risk averse. So that was a big change for me, being like really pushing myself to be risk tolerant or willing to take risks, because that allowed me to move into that testing phase where I was prepared to fail, and I was okay with failing, because ultimately the failure takes you closer to the thing that you're trying to achieve.
Well, all it is feedback, right? On the thing that 100%. You shouldn't do, or the product that didn't work, or something like that. I think that you need to be a little bit pragmatic about that, in that a lot of times people get very emotionally attached to certain things that they're trying, and you really need to disconnect that from your thinking, because if you do, one, that's going to destroy you more than if you just stuff something up and went, oh, well, such is life, let's try the next thing.
That's it. Exactly.
So being emotionally attached means that you will reinforce failure for longer. I know a lot of times, particularly with things like, ad spend, you dreamed up this beautiful ad, you put it on, and you put, 10, 20, 30, $100 a day or something on it, and no one clicks, no one buys, no one does anything. And then you're like, but it was the best ad. I came up with this idea, and it's like my idea because it was right in, came from my brain, and I thought about it long and hard, and I worked really hard on it. No one cares. Just do the next thing.
That's it. And that's where you need some kind of framework or system or process, so that you've got multiple attack points, if you like, or multiple approaches, so that you can go, okay, this one didn't work, we'll bring this one in, and this one didn't work, and we'll bring this one in. And by doing that, you're almost limiting your ability to get emotionally attached, because you've got these multiple potential options, right?
I have a concept of everything's a pipeline. So whether it's your customers, suppliers, employees, friends, right? So you start with a large number, you filter down to a slightly smaller set and a smaller set and a smaller set, and then the ones that convert, then great, But the pipeline concept could be products that you're trying, could be systems that you're trying. It's kind of processing processizing the conversations that you're having at scale. So it could be the interaction that you're having with potential customers. That's the most common thing that people associate as being a pipeline. But the recruitment pipeline is also a pipeline, right? So you've got hundreds of people apply, a dozen get the interview, one or two make it through. That's a pipeline. So by approaching everything as a pipeline, now you emotionally detach yourself from the process. So you're no longer personally tied to the success or failure of everything. You know that it's just going to work through to the one that makes it in, and if they don't, well, I'm just going to fill the top of the pipeline again. And unfortunately, I did say friends, business partners, people that you work with very closely, that you trust. Over time, things change, and if you're the one that comes out on top, that's resilient, then great. Otherwise, if you let it damage you, you're not really going to be very successful for very long.
That's a really good point, Avon, about resilience. So that's one. I don't think we put that on our list earlier when we were talking about things that are important. Resilience is so crucial, because like you were just saying, if you're going to fall down and not get back up for 6 months, if you have maybe a failed partnership, for example, where does that put you? That's 6 months that you've lost moving things forward, moving that needle forward. So how do we be more resilient in those situations? I feel like that would be a good one for the listeners.
Well, I think if you're constantly testing, right, you're constantly failing. So then ideally you're testing with a lot of little things. You, like I said, you don't want to go down the casino and put all your money on black in the hope that in this 50-50 shot that you're going to win. But you could put, $1, $2 or something, like small bets early on. So like if that's a business partner, do a few
Hmm.
small projects to trust first rather than before
Love it.
going all. Um, but like you can't do all these things alone. So you're going to have to at some point get a business partner or team members or something like that. Like everything takes a team, and particularly if you're going to get to that multi-million-dollar company, you're more than likely not going to do it on your own unless you have some really high value skill that absolutely no one else has.
Yeah.
So in order to do that, you then need to build not just for yourself, because everybody, when they experience things, they're doing it themselves. That you have a lot of self-aware moments where I know that I'm doing something, but as soon as you try to translate it to somebody else, they don't. That you have all this assumed knowledge. They can't just automatically relate it back to 100 experiences that you've had. You have to put it in the middle. You have to document it, and then you have to allow them to experience, figure it out, make mistakes, and be comfortable with them making mistakes. So not only do you have to be comfortable with your own mistakes, you then have to get comfortable with other people's.
Absolutely. And that's something I've struggled with. Avon, I'm not sure about you. There's something that you talk about, you might be able to remind me, being comfortable with them getting to 80%, or how do you put it? Tell me how you put it across.
I don't think I've got a neat little line for it, but if you as the business owner, you're going to give 110%, day in, day out, no matter what, right? So you might have an off day, but you're still going to give your maximum for that day, right? So a business owner is always going to act differently to an employee. An employee, they are there to support their life outside of work. They are going to turn up to work. They're going to do their 8 hours. They're going to do a reasonably good job, and then they're going to go. They're good enough job not to get fired. Not so good a job that they're breaking themselves for the business. So they're never going to have the same amount of care, energy, and attention that you're going to have. Now you can motivate that in certain ways. That could be equity ownership. It could be bonuses. It could be, some form of praise and reward system. But you need to be comfortable knowing that you're only ever going to get 80% out of these people. So as long as you go in with that perception or that sort of preconceived notion, then you're not going to be disappointed when they're not giving 100%. You know that I've got 100% of an employee effort instead of I've got 100% of what my effort is.
That's really well put, and I think that's really helpful for a lot of people, because I work with a lot of organizations. They're training team members, and they, first things first, they can't understand, well, if I can do it this way and I can get it to this point, why can't they? And there's this expectation that just because we do it or can do it a certain way and have a certain standard, that everyone else that comes through the door should be the same. So I think that's a really important point, and if we can treat that as our baseline and our expectation of our team members, we're in a really good spot.
If you don't let your own team fail and try and figure things out, then you're always going to be the one swooping in to save the day. So if you could let someone, you just kind of delegate and go, you handle it. Don't do it necessarily with $1 million transaction on day one. Try a couple of little things and go, look, I don't have time. You have the skills. I know you do. I need you to figure it out. And if you need, you can back brief me on your decision before you pull the trigger, and I'll just make sure that I'm okay with it. But other than that, this is what I'm delegating to you. You just need to get it done. And sometimes being a little bit unreachable is actually a good thing. I think a lot of times people try to be there, they try to answer questions, but I purposefully have block days where no one can book me. I have time when I'm on for like a team meeting, and I'll be very short and to the point. Not rude, but like, I go, I've got this much time. What do you need? What can we get through? This. Great. Okay, cool. If you need, here's somewhere where I've documented how to do that. Here's a video. Here's a guide. You've got it. I believe in you. Good luck. And that's the only way you can really step back, because if you're the one doing everything, then you have no leverage.
That's it, exactly. And if we're not setting them up like with everything you just listed off, so resources, like having some available time where they can reach out to us but not being fully contactable, videos, SOPs, all of that good stuff, so they can go and do the research themselves. Or if we genuinely don't have a standard operating procedure for that, get them to go do the research. Like you said, go and find out, go contact the support arm of that company that we're dealing with, and go and find out how we get it done in our particular circumstances, document it, so when we're in this situation again, we can win straight away.
My first sort of experience learning that lesson was we'd just taken over a new business. I was working 12-hour days or 16-hour days, like 30 days straight in a row. And I'd gotten to my like one day off after a month of like crazy hours every day. And I got a phone call at 5 a.m. Like I was really looking forward to sleeping. I get a phone call at 5 a.m. The machine's running and it won't stop. We can't figure out what to do. So I had to get dressed, go in, and it was one button. And then it stopped the machine. So I then got my phone out and filmed all the possible troubleshooting that you could do. And then I saved that video to like an unlisted YouTube video. And the next time it happened, I was able to text them the video. But then I got frustrated that I got woken up to then have to send a link. So then I created a knowledge base that they could search. And so then my question, like put everything in there, you know, how to do the banking, how to do, you know, the checkout at the end of the day or whatever. And I ended up getting almost like 10% of the calls. So I basically killed off 90% of questions. And mostly because the first thing I would answer with is, have you checked the knowledge base? If it's not there, raise a ticket, and then I will answer that question. And by doing so, and when I had a task list and it was electronic. So as they were doing things, I was getting notified. But then on the task in the description was a link to the article on how to do that. So if they didn't know how to do the task, it had popped up on their to-do board. They can go to the description, click the link, watch the video or read the article, and then do the thing. So there was no excuses unless something was more tacit learning, you know, like how to drive a car, right? It takes more hands-on physical learning. Everything was written down.
That's awesome. And team, the key takeaway there is when you're answering the phone or the message, whatever it is, have you checked the knowledge base? You as the business owner or the leadership in the organization, you need to create that habit, or else you will just be bailing them out all the time. And all of that hard work you've put towards creating that knowledge management system, useless.
And the other thing is, ask me in the knowledge system. So if someone asks me on the phone and I go, oh yeah, you just do this, 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 and this. Yes, that would be easy for me to give you the answer. But if you ask in the knowledge system and the answer's not there, or maybe the keywords that they used in the way that they asked from their understanding were not attached to the article. Now you get to improve the SEO, if you will, of that article so that they can find it easier next time. Also, the next person that uses that language. So, you know, say in your CRM, someone says leads, someone else says prospects, someone says potentials. They're different words for the same thing. So by just tagging and marking and having all of those possibilities lead to the same place, now you reduce the problems associated with finding the information that you've already created. Half the time we've got known knowns. That's the thing that we know, right? I know that I'm looking into the camera right now. That's a known known, right? Then we've got known unknowns. I know that I don't know how far it is between me and the moon. I know that's a known unknown, but I know that I could go research that. Then there is our known unknown unknowns, which is I don't know what I don't know. There's probably a million and one awesome things that I don't know exist, and I won't be able to figure it out because I don't know what to search for or that there is that possibility. But then the worst thing is unknown knowns, right? It's a problem you've already solved. It's something you've already written down and you can't find it, or you don't know that you've already solved it. You know, you might be 6 months on, 12 months on, you've had that learning, you've written it down, you didn't document it properly, or you didn't put it in the folder structure the right way, and it's gone. Even though it's somewhere in your ecosystem, you can't find it. And so all of that time, energy, and effort spent fixing that thing is kind of a bit of a waste. So you want to try and avoid that as much as possible by making it searchable. That's
right. And when I work with clients, I see that all the time. So they've got this wealth of knowledge and it's in about a million different places, maybe not a million. It could be 5. And you need to search in 5 different places. Like you said, it's not searchable. Maybe they haven't been updating it as they went, like you were talking about with, the ways that different people interpret things or the language that they use. And then it becomes this mammoth job that keeps getting put off and not entertained for months and months on end, which is just costing you time and money. So the more that you're on top of this as you go, the better off you are.
Yeah, or buried in a Word doc there somewhere, that saved in a place that no one's going to find, no one has access to, and no one knows what they're looking for. Yeah.
Yes, all the time.
And like leading into that is that no one knows everything, and so one of the best things you can do is have communitized knowledge creation. So that's where your team are writing articles as well on how to do things, because if I say, here's a process, here's what I think, and then I tell my staff member, I want you to write the article on how to do it, because that's one, they have to research it whilst they're writing the article. 2, they're going to write it in a way that they understand, in language that would probably shorthand, thinking that they should know, but they don't have my experience and I don't have theirs. So by combining our knowledge together, I actually have a much better chance of having something that somebody fresh off the recruitment cycle the next day can come in and read it and go, I know what to do. So if we're generating knowledge that is team built, that's so much better. And in a rapidly scaling company, there's things that I'm just not good at, don't know. Like there was an article written the other day. It was a code snippet from the dev team. I don't know how to write that code. And it's now in our repository that could be used forevermore by the rest of the company. So, we reward that sort of behavior.
Incredible.
So I think, one thing that business owners can't do is see the forest for the trees.
Absolutely.
They think that there's a million and one things, there's all these apps to try, and there's all these, things to test. There's all these staff that they could potentially hire, all these challenges and problems, a million of them. Are they going to spend time on the right ones? Probably not. And so you're too close to the problem and you can't see what you actually need to solve. So how would you solve that?
Me personally, well, biggest change I ever made in my business was deciding what things are going to move the needle forward. So if I'm involved with this community, or if I'm doing this activity, is it actually going to help me to hit this goal that's on my whiteboard in my office? Is that actually going to move the needle forward? So when we get in this mode of, oh my goodness, there's all these shiny objects and I want to play with all of them and I want to do the things, ultimately you can't do any of them if you are not hitting that next revenue target or whatever it is in your business that you've set that's going to move you to that next level. So ultimately you need to decide, okay, what are my 5 daily activities, 10 weekly activities, 20 monthly activities, whatever it happens to be, that are going to move that needle forward?
Kind of sounds a bit like ends goals versus means goals. So
yes,
the ends goal is make that revenue target, or for an easy example, get a 6-pack abs, right? Mm-hmm. The means goal is bite-sized chunks of things. So it could be a few things that lead to the big thing. So, do some sit-ups, go for a run, check your diet. Maybe you can only, you only can run 2 or 3 kilometers at your current fitness level or whatever, or you can only do 20 sit-ups or something like that. Just do that. That's a means goal, right? That'll get you towards doing a higher number of all of those things, and it will also contribute to the overall goal. It's not like you can't go to the shop and buy a 6-pack, not and certainly in the context that we're talking about, but you can do the means goals to get to the ends goal. The business is no different. I have a revenue target. I know I need to make this much per month, per week, per day. And then in order to achieve that, I need to make this many calls. I need to do that many emails. So it's the means to an end. And I think that when someone's too close to the problem, they'll look for other things, or maybe they'll do something that doesn't move them towards the actual goal. So you might even need a bit of a guide to keep you on track.
Absolutely. And finding the right guide is absolutely crucial. So Avon, how do we find the right person to have in our corner so that we can make all these things happen?
I don't think there's any one right person. I think there's often you should take influence from people that have been there, done that, but also, as we said at the start of this, their journey is not going to be the same as yours. I think perspective helps. I think understanding someone else's experience and getting their view of what you're doing, hopefully they're a little bit more, not altruistic is not the word, but they're objectively looking at your situation without the emotional attachment that you have. So if I've spent 1,000 hours building this thing that I think is going to be amazing, if someone else comes in and questions it, I almost feel a bit damaged that they're questioning it. But what I should be doing is looking for the truth in that. Maybe look at 2 or 3 other advisors that also have potential influence or experience in that area, and I will weigh that up. I won't take any one of those as like pure gospel, but I will bring all that information. So you should spend some contemplation time, and then you should make your decision based on all of that. But having an advisor, having a mentor, having someone else that can either keep you accountable to your own standards, keep you focused on task, that's important. And I think maybe having a few advisors could be also important. And sometimes they don't always have to be, like your business coach or something like that. It could be someone that's a peer or slightly above you, or someone that's worked in that area or in the same industry. Your competitors are your best allies. Sometimes they're people that know what you are going through. They've done it before. They're not necessarily, I believe in co-opetition. Not everyone's out there to, I grow at the expense of the other person. It's I grow, and well, there might be a customer that one of us might get, but hey, may the best person win. It's like a good sportsmanship, basically.
Yeah, that's a really important concept, because I think, at least in my experience, business owners, and this could be, I don't know if this is Australian, Avon, maybe you can weigh in on this. Everyone is so scared that people are going to steal their customers or their ideas. There's this fear around collaborating and sharing ideas and processes. And what did you call it?
Co-opetition.
Co-opetition. I love that. That is a great concept. We can embrace that more. Yeah, that is amazing. And the more that we embrace that and we involve people who are going on the same journey, there's enough for everyone. I don't believe in competition, because the person that might want my services, they need to be a good fit for me as well. We need to work well together. And that's the most common reason that people buy from me, is my energy. It's not the system or the process or the product or service that I offer. They love my energy and they want to be in the energy, right? So that's my point of difference. So we need to be more about that. We need to be more about, there is no competition, and we need to, and I've forgotten your fabulous word again, Avon.
Co-opetition.
Co-opetition. I'm going to write that down. Co-opetition. Yeah. Embrace it, team.
I'll send you a message later. But if you think about, like Elon Musk recently said in an interview that he doesn't worry about patents. So this is a guy building multi-billion-dollar rockets going into outer space, doesn't worry about patents, because patents are there to block other people, where his concept is just move so fast that no one else can keep up. Because the time you spent filing a patent, and I've filed one before, and the money that you spend is pretty significant. So in order to get, like, no one else can keep up. Like, by the time someone else has reverse engineered the thing, he's already 10 models ahead, and what they've just figured out is now ancient technology. So the concept of competition, like even with investors, right? They'll never want that. If you say sign this NDA before I tell you what the thing is, they'll just walk away, because what's the point? Now you're going to block me from having conversations with other people. Well, maybe you're going to say, here's an NDA, but on something that they already know. So now you're stopping them from talking about the thing that they already know. So, and half the time execution is the problem. So I could have all the money in the world, I could have all the ideas in the world, but if I don't do anything with it, what's the point?
And that's it. That is the thing. How many people have you heard say, oh, I thought of bottled water years ago? And all of these people that just didn't take action. And that's the magic, right? You got to take action. Like you were saying about Elon, you got to just be faster than the next guy. Do the thing.
Well, there is the patent on toilet paper roll.
Stop. No.
Yep. There's a patent on sliced bread.
Stop.
There's a patent on Betamax.
Yeah, good one, Sony. That worked out so well for you too.
So they just created VHS and then bypassed it anyway. So point being is that sometimes it's not worth it just to be a stick in the mud and you know, like block everybody else from everything else. So innovate and execute as fast as possible. And you particularly now with like AI, digital transformation, the speed of business now is phenomenal. In China, if you got a startup and you don't get 1 million customers in 6 months, you may as well not bother. So, yeah, and the speed of like the life cycle, the birth and death of companies over there is ridiculous. So, I think in order to build that multi-million-dollar company, you need to consider having a guy, having a coach, having that outside perspective. You need the systems, you need the processes. There's a million little things that you have to build in order for it to be something that you can delegate and hand off to a team. And that alone also does increase the valuation of a company, because now it could potentially be sold under management, or it could be something that if it's now sustainable because you can take a step back, think about the big picture items and start doing some really interesting things instead of, churning away in the operations all day, every day. Now, the entrepreneur's goal is to ideate, initiate, and then hand over. So the faster you can do that also means that, should you wish to create multiple businesses, you could. However, focus is of value. So
True.
Trying to focus on things is a good idea. So I think we talked earlier about, I guess, your experience with a mentor. Like, would you be eager to share a little bit more about that?
Sure. So I have had multiple mentors, coaches over my business journey. And I think for me, I tried to, so they know what they're doing and I have to do everything exactly as they tell me. And I bought into that for such a long time, and it was to my detriment. So the point that you made earlier about just taking little bits from everyone and taking your own time to ponder and really consider, okay, what is the best move for me and my business right now, and then make the move. That's really powerful. And that's something that I've started doing more recently. And it's been so much better, not just for the business, because the business is growing faster than it ever has, but for me as a human, there's no ick there, to get very technical, because before it just felt terrible, because you're trying to be this thing that you think you have to be to get your business to a certain point, but it's not actually like that at all.
Yeah, I think rather than telling you what to do, is help you arrive at a decision through your own understandings, and maybe help highlight new information, but allow you to arrive at the decision based on clarity around the information, but then also getting a reasonable kick up the ass to do the right thing, or do the thing you don't want to do.
Sometimes, and that's it.
Yeah.
So many of us avoid the things that we have to be doing, don't we, business owners? And that's what gets us held back a lot of the time. So we go for the shiny object, or the thing over here, instead of being consistent at the things that really matter.
I think, there's certainly tasks that I enjoy more than others. But if you get your kill list out of the way, you get it done. Eat the frog, whatever you want to call it.
That's
the faster I have a concept of pull the pin and see what's next. Like, get on the other side of that annoying thing or that frustrating thing as fast as possible, because then the problem arises mostly out of anticipating the problem rather than actually facing the problem.
Exactly. And just get in, get it done, and go, okay, I'm going to start. I'm going to do 5 minutes and get into it. And then by the time that 5 minutes is, you've probably got a really solid start, or you've probably got it done, because we tend to procrastinate on the things that don't take all that long to get started. So just get in and get it done.
and one of the ways that we can get it done is we're building an application to drive or to do an initial measurement, to then find all the weak areas, and then start to focus in on making sure you've got all the basics nailed. And that is Octopus Management, working title. So basically, the process to structurally improve little things on a regular basis that drive a good foundation. Because what a lot of times business owners go through these peaks and troughs. They'll have some wins, and then because they don't have some basics nailed, the floor falls out from under them, and then they flop again, and then they climb up, and then they go through this constant roller coaster. But if you just get the basics nailed, then it's a much more steady one step after the other, and it makes it a lot easier. In the Relevate community, we've got heaps of guides, info, tricks, tips, great people to network with, including Amanda and myself, and some other more advanced programs, should that be right for you. But nonetheless, if you're watching today, we really appreciate it. Thank you very much for coming along. We do try to do these weekly. We'll be doing the next one Friday next week in the afternoon as well. So keep an eye out for it. And Amanda, did you have anything else closing before we went off for the day?
Absolutely. Check out the community team. It's amazing. Like Avon said, there's cool people in there that know a lot of cool stuff. And there's just heaps of information, and you can take it in at your own leisure and decide which way you want to move. And we've got plenty of opportunity for you to take things to the next level as well. So reach out to either of us if you'd like more information, and please check out the link below.
I think also what you're saying about being able to take it in whenever you like you happen to be overseas in Italy at the moment. So
I sure am.
We've got people in all over the world that are accessing it whenever they like. We have opportunities to catch up. But that learning, if you've got a question, you can ask in the community, and you've got a whole bunch of people that can answer 24/7, 365. So
absolutely.
Thank you for watching. You stay classy. We'll see you next time.
Catch you soon.